Hello there, wrestling fans, and welcome to the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. And now introducing your hosts at a total combined weight of none of your business. It's Metal Geek and Joe Panther the Third, the Dudes at Ringside podcast.
There you go.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Even
welcome,
better.
Welcome.
I told you,
Yeah.
you know what? Legit, I think I needed a microphone in my hand. It's a very weird. I am so used to when I'm doing that, having a microphone in my hand. I feel weird when I don't do that with a mic.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the thing. I just needed something in my hands to do it.
Yeah.
It's so strange.
It's like when I first started out doing this podcast with Geek, I had like a headset, and being such a super fan of Howard Finkel, I always feel like for my birthday I wanted a microphone, and I was like, I don't know what kind of mic. And then every once in a while I have premonitions. I could see myself in front of a microphone like Fink at WrestleMania 1. I could see him going, "Welcome to WrestleMania," and I could see the microphone, and I was like,
Yeah,
I need a real microphone. I need
think-
to continue the awesome tradition of Fink and have the real mic.
I think the headsets work best, to be honest with you, because it cancels out all the noise and everything like that. So that, if you have any exterior noise in the background, it cancels it out through the headset that's connected to the microphone. So
if our fans aren't familiar with you, introduce yourself again.
Yes. Well, my name is Miranda Morales. I am an independent ring announcer, as you may have heard. I'm also a backstage interviewer based right out of Arizona. And I'm also a podcaster with a few different outlets, including thechairshot.com, luchacentral.com, and Big Gold Belt Media.
Yeah, that's awesome. And again, thank you so much for announcing that.
yeah.
You're our second ring announcer we've ever had on our podcast. So
Third.
Okay.
Third, yeah.
Jason, you're forgetting Jason, man. Jason was a good dude.
Jason, but he didn't do the announcement. Jason Lichtnick from NYWC and an announcer from a minor league ballpark.
Very cool.
He didn't do the announcement like you and Rain. I guess we didn't really ask him. I guess we were do we ask him?
When he comes back on, we'll definitely go.
Oh, we'll have him do it again, because I know he was like, there was the second person that did your announcement, guys. You didn't ask me. Whoops. So yeah. So what made you go into becoming like a ring announcer or like a backstage person? What were you?
Yeah. I grew up actually a wrestling fan in the late 90s. And so I always admire actually first commentators. So like the team of JR and the King, the team at WCW Nitro with Mike Tenay, Larry Zbyszko, Bobby Heenan, listening to all of them on commentary was my first big, draw into wrestling. And then slowly, the backstage interviews and the ring announcing all kind of caught my attention. But just the wrestling, of course, as well. It wasn't until I was living in New Mexico where I got connected with an independent promotion over there called Destiny Wrestling Organization. And they were looking for people to join the crew, just to help, just to kind of be a part of the group. So I, at that time, didn't even ever think about doing it as, a professional job. I just thought, man, it would be very cool to actually see the behind the scenes of an independent wrestling promotion. And so I let them know I was interested. And when I talked to them about my background and just what I was watching as a kid, and also just being very open about, a speaking role, they said, let's try you at interviewing. And so I started actually doing backstage interviews for the first few shows, and then got moved up into ring announcing. And it's a totally different dynamic though, because when you're interviewing, at least you have takes you can cut. You can, think about things a little bit more thoroughly. But when you're out there in the ring, on the mat, announcing, you really have just one shot. So it was a kind of a big adjustment, but I really love both of them.
Interesting.
I don't know if you got any, if you're a fan of New Japan, if you got the chance to see the G1.
I have not. No. See, Japanese wrestling is something I haven't gotten quite like into, and I think some of it definitely is a language thing because I know no Japanese.
You don't need
But
to.
I know, that's what I keep hearing. You don't need to because the wrestling storytelling is great in the clips that I've seen. But yeah, I do love internationally. I do feel like when I do hear ring announcing in other languages or from other countries, a lot of this it's very similar as far as your tone, the flow, all of it is really grandiose, really, really big. And I admire that because that in itself, you don't need to understand the language. You can tell, that it's a big deal from the way that they're saying things.
Like you hear like Lariato like that. That's like it's like
Yeah.
when you're watching soccer, it's the same
Yes.
deal. It's the same
Yeah.
deal. You don't
Same
have
deal.
to understand. The only thing you have to hear is goal.
Go.
That's it. That's it. That's all you need to know. So, but yeah,
It's
and there's English commentary too.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yes.
Oh, what's up? What's going on, Brandon?
Hey, Brandon is another fan of ours. He's
Another podcaster.
Another
Hi,
podcast
Brandon.
from Long Island, actually, a father-son podcast.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Father-son podcasting.
Yeah.
Papa Dank. You should check them out. They're good. They're a good crew. They go in, they do their interviews, they go to shows. They're out of Long Island, New York.
Sick.
They do skits. Yeah. They do skits.
Right? They're good stuff.
That's a unique thing. I don't know a lot of shows if I ever heard a show that does skits.
Yeah. But it's funny. We're different on our own.
They do skits. You gotta watch some of their stuff that they do.
We love doing promos. What's going? Hey, Junior. Hey, welcome to. That's my boss, right Junior. Welcome, welcome, Junior. Welcome. Thank you.
That's a pretty supportive boss.
Yes, he's a great boss. And Key Food is a grocery chain that's I don't know if they have Key Food in Arizona.
No, not that.
Oh man,
not that I'm aware of.
On Tuesdays we have some mean tacos. Junior's from Oakland, and he makes a mean taco during Tuesdays, and sometimes he does it on Mondays or Wednesdays too. But they have different days we do it. Yeah. So good. He's a nice boss. He's very supportive on our podcast. Actually, he stuck our sticker in the front of the store on the Pepsi machine.
Very cool.
Yeah. So yeah, stuck the Dudes at Ringside sticker on there. It's cool.
Sponsored by Dudes at Ringside.
Sort of, kind of. Even though it's not on a Coke machine, Geek works for Coke. It's kind of like, really?
Yeah.
I always get him. Yeah. Thanks, Junior. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.
Did you get the chance to watch the Crown Jewel pay-per-view or?
No, I haven't watched the Crown Jewel pay-per-view. I was following a lot, though, the King of the Ring and Queen's Crown tournament. Those were the big aspects of the Crown Jewel event that I was really keeping track of.
I'm sorry, but I was very disappointed in the Queen's Crown tournament.
Yeah. There's so much about it where the hype about having a women's tournament equivalent to the King of the Ring was a very big deal, but the implementation as far as the matches being so short, 2
minutes. That's it. 2 minutes, 3 minutes. That's it. That's all they got.
No, so I mean that was a bummer because that could have been where they had some great matches, and even the finals I think were 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
What is that? It's like.
Yeah, I am pretty excited for Zelina Vega as the winner, though. I think she's going to make an excellent queen. I think she will very much put this in her character. So I like the idea, but I still feel like the idea of it fell a bit short from what it could have been.
Yeah. Like I just told Geek, like after he told me who won and I saw it all over Instagram and Twitter, I said, like, they could have made it like an old women's pay-per-view and had it like in like California or New York or New Jersey and made it a full pay-per-view but of just the tournament and then crown somebody here. Why do they have to do it at Crown Jewel? make the matches so short. It doesn't make women's wrestling look good, you know? You know what I mean? Like, I don't get it. Like, it's silly what they did. Can you hear me? Oh, you lose her?
Mm-hmm.
You there? The women did a great job. They should have made the matches longer. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I lost you guys for a second. Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you. We see you and hear you. So, you're good.
My rant blew up their camera. Oh, no.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I hear you.
We hear you loud and clear.
Oh no, Geek! My rant went.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand. It's like 5 minutes, and
okay.
They could have.
Oh, nothing happened. Yeah, I think you are on a delay. You were fine before. Do you want to go back out and come back in, I guess?
Let's see if I could take it off the screen and put it back on.
Oh, he's going to take you off and then put you back on.
You there?
You there? Can you hear us?
No, I think microphone muted.
Uh-oh. Can you hear us?
She muted her microphone.
Oh, she's probably checking and seeing if something's wrong with her.
But yeah, Joe, I mean, the Crown Jewel pay-per-view, very disappointed. You know, very, very disappointing pay-per-view. But so what did you watch it, Joe, at all, or
I didn't get a chance to watch it, but it seems like it went. Oh, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay, you're better.
Yes, yeah. I just ended up troubleshooting, and now I'm on my phone, so I think it's all good now.
Usually the phones work. Sometimes they get a little choppy, but like we've had a lot of people with phones lately, and they've been perfect.
They've been good, yeah.
I forgot who had a phone, but somebody had a phone. It was really
Let
good.
her finish, Geek. Let her finish.
No. I was just going to go back to what you were talking about, the Queen's Crown tournament. I totally agree as far as the matches being way too short. And I feel like, you know, I don't know about a full event. It seems like WWE has been very specific as far as like saying they don't have any intentions of doing an all women's event again, which, you know, that's their thing, if that's what they want to do or not. But I do think actually having matches with a little bit more time and you know, just not it just felt like an afterthought, and even maybe more hype or more confrontation between you know, the two finalists of Zelina Vega and Drew Doudrop, maybe like a face-to-face confrontation or interview, I think would have gotten more people invested, because it was a very odd coupling in the you know, for that match, with Doudrop really making a surprise. I mean, she was a bracket buster. For like a lot of people like me thought Shayna Baszler was going to go all the way and win it. So I think maybe doing something to get people more invested in the finals too could have helped. So it just felt like it was very hurried.
Definitely. I mean, like,
keep going.
Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead, Joe.
I'm happy to see Xavier Woods winning the King of the Ring. Yeah. That was so awesome. He's such a good worker. He's a good wrestler. Like, he's good for the business, and his energy is so perfect.
Yeah.
for like this era of wrestling, because he does so much. Like his facial expressions, he knows how to play an instrument and get the crowd with him. It's like they need more people in the business like Xavier Woods.
And not only that, he hosts his own YouTube channel, Up, Down, Down. So
I mean,
they may hear you.
Well, you could do both. You can watch this show and Up, Down, Down. You know, you could do both.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Vince McMahon may hear that and he may get in trouble because of the Twitch, the whole Twitch.
I think they're connected.
Yeah. I feel like Xavier Woods was one of those exceptions to the rules, where because he is so popular and has been really lucrative with Up, Down, Down, that the companies recognize that as an asset and has, you know, allowed him to continue with that. He's one of the few.
Page too.
Yeah.
Page
one of the few. One of the exceptions. So, yeah, I agree. Xavier Woods as King of the Ring is a great career milestone for him. I think that he wears the crown well. It will be great to incorporate that in his persona. And it's also kind of a good counterbalance with Zelina, as far as kind of having a heel queen and a face king. You know, that's kind of a nice pairing as far as your finalists or your winners. But it also shows really the impact of the New Day, having now each member of the New Day with a very significant career win or milestone too, really is going to cement them as one of the greatest trios of all time.
Yeah, pretty much. But anybody else be like, oh, what about the what's the name of that tag team that they always relate the New Day to? The not Rock and Roll Express. Oh my God, I can see their faces and I can't think.
The Freebirds.
The Freebirds.
Yeah, they always. I'm an old school. I'm the old school guy on the podcast. I do. The Freebirds are the original. They're then. The New Day is the new age triple team group that will come in, and you think you're getting the Xavier Woods and Big E. You end up getting Xavier Woods and Kofi. You know what I mean? They'll throw a curveball at you, and they'll give the titles to the two separate guys. You're not getting the guys who you think you're getting. That's what the new age Freebird rules are in wrestling.
And they both deserve it. Coffee and Biggie deserve it. Me and Joe were there at WrestleMania when.
Oh my God!
On
my own personal Instagram page, I actually had a reaction. Geek was there, and our mod was there, and my reaction was priceless for his big win. Priceless. My dad had to incorporate his own. It was just funny. It was so funny. Yeah, it was cool. That was my second WrestleMania ever. So yeah, WrestleMania.
That's one of the. I haven't hit a whole lot of wrestling milestones. I've been to a Royal Rumble, and that's one of my favorite pay-per-views ever. So I'm really excited to have gone there. I have not been to a SummerSlam or a WrestleMania or a Survivor Series, but those would be the ones I really want to go to. I actually think, now that I say it out loud, the Royal Rumble was the very first pay-per-view that I went to. And it was just the one in Phoenix, I believe it was 2019. Yeah. So I mean,
me and my girlfriend were there.
Oh, really? That's awesome. That was an amazing one. Oh.
That was great. The reactions were so much better in person than they were on TV, because Becky's reaction when she won, oh my God. You know?
Yes. When she was led into the match, I remember just freaking out. I remember everyone cheering, let her in, let her in.
Yeah.
And it's those moments, like, I think when you watch something like that historic, you know, it's, of course, in the moment, it's like, it's a blur. You're like, oh my gosh, how cool is this? But in that, you know, in hindsight too, being able to see what it means in the landscape of wrestling history too, is always cool to be like, I was there, you know, being there, you guys, when Kofi won, and, you know, I'm sure a lot of events too, like, you could list a plethora of big moments that you've been to. It's a special thing as a wrestling fan that I think anyone, when you have a team or something that you cheer for, it's a big deal. But I think for wrestling, it's, you're so invested in those people, and when you see them get their shot to get that opportunity, it's like, you get that shot too, and I think for Kofi especially, it was so many people looking up to him and his career and his attitude, and when he won, I'm sure you guys felt like everybody in that arena
Oh
won.
my God.
Exactly. That was amazing. And to be honest, the disappointing part is he lost it in 2 seconds, and that's why that was so disappointing for me and Joe.
Yeah,
I was so mad. I called him pissed. What the hell did they just do to him? They didn't even give him a real match against Brock. They just ran into him, F5'd him, ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
No kick out.
Yeah, no, and I know the point behind that was exactly what it was meant to do with Brock as a very dominant champion coming in, taking the belt. But it's also like you spent months and months and time and energy to build this story to squash it in a second. And it's like, why would you put all that energy into building something to then just throw it away in just a few seconds, I don't know. Granted, though, I can't think in my mind, though, like, how was that supposed to be? Maybe a little bit more competition with Kofi and Brock. I could have absolutely seen that happen too, where like they had more competitive match.
Definitely.
Because I think even then fans would have been okay, but knowing like Kofi just, whether he was just drawn out and couldn't do it or it was too much, but just something like that instantaneous is as a fan, you're just like, what the heck? What happened?
Yeah. It's like I expected Brock to win that match, but it was like, I expected the match kind of like the Bryan Danielson and Brock match, or the AJ and Brock match, where Brock's gonna beat him down, they're gonna come back, but ultimately Brock's gonna win and respect them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what that's the match I was hoping for when Coffee faced Brock, but we didn't get that.
I was just like, what did I just see? Did I just watch literally watched a squash match? You just beat the crap out of him and toss him aside like nothing.
That and the Ricochet Brock Lesnar match pissed me off too.
Oh yeah, that one. I mean, I guess Ricochet, I wasn't as surprised. It kind of felt like I would have been more surprised if they had made it more of a lengthier match, but it also could have been a perfect opportunity to surprise the fans and have a match that, you didn't expect to be so good. I think when you have matches like that, it's everybody wins, but I think Brock is one of those wrestlers where he's not much of an enigma. There's no mystery to him. He is exactly who he portrays to be, and his matches are exactly that: hard-hitting, brutal, intense, and for a lot of people, very short. And I think that formula works for Brock, and I also think people expect that out of him. Like, they expect Brock to come in, and in very few, I'm not sure how long his match was with Roman at Crown Jewel this year, but I don't think anyone expected a squash match at all, and expected much more of a back and forth between those two guys. So I think Brock is one of those people, and it works because I think the fans gravitate towards that. Like, exactly who you're getting with Brock, and the company knows exactly what they're doing with Brock, and everybody, it still works out in the end.
Yeah.
But you lost at Crown Jewel.
That. Well, that's because you're building Roman. Roman's going to be champion now for like year. Bruno Sammartino length, like for 10 years.
Yeah. He's Vince's guy right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I respect Roman, but he's been having a downfall, and then they had the fans didn't like him. Now they like him because he's a heel. But there's so many other wrestlers that young wrestlers they could just give the belt to, and they just decide to do it. They do the Brock Lesnar thing, and then they give it to Roman. And okay, it's better than having Brock as champion. But there's so many other wrestlers' talent they can give the belt to, that I know that they'll run and make it a so much better game right now, because AEW's on their tail, man. They have to pick up their game. They don't pick up their game, they're in lots of trouble.
I kind of think they kind of picked up with Drew though.
Mm-hmm.
They built Drew up and they built Bobby Lashley up. Those are two people they have built up.
Yeah, I think the Raw championship, the World Championship there has, as much as maybe they haven't had that with the SmackDown Championship, with Raw between Drew and Bobby and now Big E, that's been the belt where you can grow your stars. And maybe that's the luxury that they have for being so big, is that they have all of these belts that they can put on people and utilize it in different ways. Because at one point, you did kind of see almost very similar storylines and strides with Bobby Lashley uh, and Roman Reigns, where they were both dominant. They were both going after, older guys. They were both, they both, retained at WrestleMania, where I thought Bobby was going to lose. But I think too, with the long-term plan they have with Roman, he's just going to be champion forever. But you do have this other belt in the World Championship where you can move that around more and utilize that to build up people. And that's still enough of a story for people to gravitate to. So that's kind of an interesting thing with WWE, is the fact that they're so big that they can do so many storylines at once. And a lot of them don't make sense. I'm not saying, a lot of the storylines don't, really capture my attention, but the differences between the world title pictures, I can appreciate.
So it's like, oh, go ahead, Joe.
I guess kind of think that, like, I want to go to the old school stuff. I would have had Raw keep a different style title, keep the name, but just make the title look different. Because if you think about it, the Raw and SmackDown titles look exactly the same, just different pattern of a color. Hey, what's going on?
Kelby! Kelby's a super fan out here in Arizona, all over the West Coast.
Welcome.
Yes. Bart, his bird. Yes. Kelby and Bart often make predictions of, what's going to be happening at the upcoming shows. And he also does his own rundowns on social media. So Kelby is a very avid. I mean, he's gone all over the place for wrestling shows. So thank you, Kelby, for tuning in.
Thanks for the likes, by the way.
Kelby, please tell your friends about us and tell them that Dudes at Ringside is live right now with one of your favorite people. Hey, we may become one of his favorite people on the East Coast.
You never know.
East Coast podcast. So, yeah. So I think that they should have went with a different pattern of title stream, because back in the day, Raw had the World Heavyweight title and SmackDown had a different style title, but they choose to, like, you probably can't see it because it's covered by the logo, but I have the Raw title on this side and I have the old school title here. Something like that. Go with like one pattern belt and go with another pattern of belt. Don't both look the same. That's why I didn't want to
even when they had the original, draft and the division in programmings, when you had the World Championship belt and the WWE Championship, even that, in its most recent form was exactly that, giving some differential between that, and it's still, both were still important, and they had it in their own way. So I see what you mean as far as like when you have two almost identical belts with different names, is it too similar where you expect so much of the stories and the competitors to be similar? Or when you have different belts and different meanings and different history behind it, how that makes sometimes the stories and the matchups and what you're building towards feel different.
I remember back then the Intercontinental title used to mean like the workers belt. It was the workers belt. Like, what I meant by the workers belt? The hardest working person had that belt. In the company. Like
Brett.
Yeah, like
Texas Tornado, Mr. Perfect. I think I already said that name. Brutus the Barber Beefcake. the names go on and on and on and on.
Edge, Chris Jericho, Kurt Angle,
Jericho, Christian, like Pat Patterson, like the names would be down this awesome hallway with these cool pictures on it. Now it's just like, oh,
okay, who do we give it to? We'll give it to this person. You know, they look, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's what disappoints me about the Intercontinental title is that it was, when I was growing up, it was always the working title, always.
Yeah, it has such a rooted lineage, and you're right, like for the longest time, and it still has its moments. I think, like when you look at Big E as someone who's more recently won the Intercontinental title and now is a world champion, it still has that merit, but it's not as maybe predictable anymore, or it's not, the success rate of that isn't always as sure. Like I think like Ultimate Warrior, someone like you knew, like when he won the belt, he was on that trajectory. Even Austin Rock, they had a huge feud for the Intercontinental Championship at that one, and eventually translated to the world title picture. Triple H, Kurt Angle, like there's people now when you say that and their Intercontinental title reign, and you're like, it absolutely makes sense that they won that and where it goes, but it's almost not a sure thing anymore. You see someone winning the Intercontinental title and you absolutely don't know, and you think they would get that opportunity, but they don't always.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 100%. Like
Ziggler's another one. Ziggler and the Miz.
Oh yeah, Ziggler. As I said, the names go on and on and on.
Yeah.
And I don't even feel like that's my title anymore. They changed the face and they gave it like this weird.
Oh yeah, I do not like the new title.
What is up with that look?
When they changed it, that's a no for me.
Who was drunk who was drinking too much wine when they drew that picture?
Nope.
Now, I draw and that looks like they were drunk. Like
yeah, Cody's another. Oh yeah, Cody's another one, and Goldust is another one, right?
Yeah. Oh, Goldust was a really underrated Intercontinental champion. Like that was, but I'm not a fan of the new belt. Nope.
What about Cody? Cody's another underrated Intercontinental champion as well.
Yes. Yeah, and that's also another thing too. Like those are also names where they won the belt and really never got close to it. And I understand it is more of a mid-card title, so sometimes it was really just meant to keep people within that lane. But I think that it's still something that now it's just is more unsure. I feel like that's just the best way that I can think of it. You're just never, you aren't as sure as what the success of the person will be when they win it.
Yeah. What are your feelings about the United States title?
Well, that one, I mean, looking at the lineage in the WCW realm, I started to kind of go down a rabbit hole of like mid, to late 90s WCW Nitros. And so like that was cool to see. As far as like how successful it's been since it's been within the WWE, like not as much, I do think though it's on the up and up because like Damian Priest as the United States champion right now is a fairly good fit. Like I was surprised that how well he's handled himself as United States champion. So I feel like, okay, United States champion, I see you. I see what you're trying to do here. Because even at one point when, they had like the open challenge, like that was a very United States championship type of, thing. And it was very synonymous with the United States championship. So I feel like it's had some peaks and valleys more in the past few years, but right now I would say it's on a high. I would say that to me personally, the United States championship has a little bit more weight than the Intercontinental.
Especially, I remember when Cena had the open challenge, and he had so many great matches.
So many.
Like everybody working with Cena was great. It's Sami Zayn. You had Kevin Owens. Cesaro was another great one. And that was when Kevin Owens debuted, right? The U.S. Open Challenge.
Yeah.
On Raw, right?
Yeah.
And he was still the NXT champion at the time. That was awesome.
Have you been watching NXT 2K yet? Anything?
2.0.
Yeah, I know. It's 2K. NXT 2K video game.
Yeah, I'm thinking video games.
Oh yeah, NXT 2.0. It's been a big shift for me. So on Lucha Central, on the Lucha Central Weekly podcast, I work with a team, Brendan Barr and Dusty Murphy. And the way, in order to cover all the Lucha Libre and pro wrestling that's happening, we take a divide and conquer approach. And we each cover different shows and promotions. And one of my shows that I cover is NXT. And from a Lucha Libre standpoint, but also I think just in general, as someone who's watched NXT consistently over the past few years, it is a big change. And it was very sudden and it was very quick. And I'm still learning how to process my feelings for it because, looking at the origins of NXT, because I really started to pick up NXT again when the four horsewomen were feuding. Like really, especially the rise of Bayley. Like I was a huge, huge Bayley fan when she was the Bayley that we knew and loved with the side ponytail and, the streamers and all of that. I loved that story. I loved her underdog story and really was invested in that. And also kind of, when the horsewomen were going on to Raw, that was when I was really invested. But I knew a little bit about the history before then. And then NXT just grew into this, the show that had some of the best wrestling in all of pro wrestling. And then, picked up a lot of the best independent talent in the entire world. And that's what we got used to. But then when they dramatically changed away from that formula to NXT 2.0 to really focus and hone in on the homegrown talent again, it was like you press the restart button, and not just with your talent, but with the way that NXT had grown. And part of me wondered, why would you do that? Why would you reset after all the success? But I do get, as far as I understand, some of the motivation behind changing it back to, or changing it up to 2.0 was what it was intended to do, be a system in which, new talent could grow and develop them and enhance them and get them prepared for the larger stage. And maybe it grew too big for its britches, but, I have to say that it's something I'm getting used to, and I'm not necessarily a huge fan of all the changes yet. I still feel like there was an emphasis on the women's division that was the best women's division, I thought, in all of pro wrestling. And now it's feeling very much like, Raw and SmackDown, where you have 3-minute matches. And I'm just like, no. You had Io Shirai and Raquel Gonzalez still there, but I mean, from Dakota Kai to Candice LeRae to, Bianca Belair and Shayna Baszler. I mean, some of the best women in all of pro wrestling. And now you're telling me you're going to send them back now with 3-minute matches? No, sir. I will not stand for this.
No, it's like, and not only that, it's like you had the best women's match you've ever had in well, I don't want to say that, but because you had Lita and Trish was great too.
Yeah.
But I want to say that's probably the most recent best women's match I've ever seen in Bayley and Sasha at Barclays Center. Probably
my favorite.
That was
one of my top 5 favorites of all time. Period. I don't care.
Yeah, no competition right there.
Yeah.
But,
I love it.
Yeah, I was there, and I and the place was just losing their shit right there. How crazy it was.
When I feel sad, sometimes I'll just put that match on. I love it so much.
You can curse here. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you going live. You're allowed to curse.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, but anyway, Geek even cried when he was there to watch that match. A little tear came from his eye, even though I'm the heel of the podcast. To see Bayley, Charlotte, and Sasha all hug, that made me cry a little bit because it was so sad. They were all leaving.
Even Geek's heel when healing on Mod.
Yeah, on that day, Geek's heart grew 3 times too big.
Yeah, he didn't even announce his girlfriend was with him. Ever so spiffy, he's like, "Oh, she was next to me. I forgot."
She was there.
He's like, "I read her in the chat. I cried. I was there."
Yeah.
Oh, you were. Oh, that's who was next to you that day. I forgot.
She cried as well. There you go.
Yeah.
So
it's just a big change really quickly. Like, I think if maybe there would have been more time, or if there would have been a way to transition it where you still maybe kept more elements of NXT than you got rid of. Because, I mean, they changed the set, they changed the logo, they changed the colors, they changed the roster. They changed the entire thing in what, a week?
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot to do.
They really hit the reset button on that.
The one that got me the most, and I'm an old school fan, and I love old school tag teams.
I know.
I
know he's going with this. I know, Joe. Just go ahead and say it.
Last podcast I said it. Rick Steiner's son.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, I lost my mind. I was like,
I mean, there's some great talent. You know, one person who is, I believe, set to debut next week. I forget his last name, but Solo.
Aaron?
No, not Aaron Solo. Solo. I forget what he's going by now. I have to I'm gonna just look it up real quick because it's gonna bother me. But you know,
he's related to Roman, isn't he?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I think I said that to Geek. I said I saw the tribal. I said he's related to. That sounds messed up saying this, but he's an Uso. He's in the family. I see that tattoo. I clearly see the thing. The tattoo, tattoo. That's a family tattoo. You just can't go to a tattoo parlor and say, I'm
just trying to find his new name, but he wrestled in the Independence as Sefa Fatu. So he's actually the younger brother of the Usos. And so he is coming on to NXT next week under a new name. And that is just someone that is being able to, be a ring announcer out here on the West Coast and see people who eventually get signed and are able to do bigger and better things. It's an awesome experience. And it's just to see someone that I've announced for, that I've worked with, that I've, seen all over, have an opportunity to be on a huge stage next week. It's amazing. It's insane. And it also makes sense though, again, very much to, I forget what, the other, Rick Steiner's son that you were mentioning. I forget what he's going by in NXT.
Braun Breaker.
Braun Breaker, yes, yeah, Braun, yeah. So just, it makes sense where, a name change is happening and it's not related to the family to help establish his own identity. He's going under Solo Sikoa, I think is how they're pronouncing it. But that is Sefa Fatu. Solo Sikoa is going to be debuting on NXT next week. And that is someone I am super excited for him and this opportunity, and I hope he ends up working his way, up the ranks. Carmelo Hayes is also someone that I've announced for before. And when I saw him on NXT, his finesse and his style, so smooth, man. And I think he's actually a great addition to what NXT is looking like now. So, being able to see these names and these people coming out and into NXT right now, it's not all, bad as far as, the changes being negative. There's some great people who are getting that recognition and airtime that this is the format that is going to work perfectly for them. And I hope it helps, the same thing happens with Solo / Sefa when he debuts next week, because I think this is the beginning. This is the beginning of possibly a long life career in the WWE.
Doesn't he have another cousin though? I think.
Well, they have. So they all are part of the kind of Samoan dynasty. So I know
the Cruiserweight Classic. There was somebody that wrestled in the Cruiserweight Classic. He was part of the Roman Reigns family. I forgot his name. I think he's in AEW now.
I have to look cruiserweight. I'm gonna have to look that up because now I'm just curious. You know if it was the first?
What's up?
Was it the first cruiser?
Yeah,
Or there was only the one?
There was only one.
Okay. I was getting confused with the women's tournament. I'm terrible at memory.
They need to do another Mae Young. They changed the name, but they need to do another Mae Young Classic like that. Even though they can't call it Mae Young Classic.
No, it's not Mae Young. It's the other one.
No, they need to do another one. I'm saying they need to do another one.
Another Mae Young Classic is what they need to do.
Yeah.
But I know who you're talking about. It's the other person's not a good person. We heard
they can't use Mae Young. Didn't she get in trouble for something?
No, that was Moolah.
Oh, I'm thinking was it Mae Young too?
No, it wasn't Mae Young.
No, just Moolah. Yeah, Moolah was Moolah's canceled. Yeah,
a lot of bad things she did. She did a lot of bad things.
I get canceled too. Oh, there we go. There's a picture of my favorite tag team of all time.
Yes,
and they heard me. Instagram heard me. They said, "What's that, Joe? We want you to show a picture of your favorite tag team on the podcast that they can't see later on. This is Steiner Brothers." Can't play the theme song. I'll do my own interpretation of it.
I can't find that, and I was looking at the Cruiserweight Classic list, and there's no one that's standing out that I think. I don't think.
I know he was in. I know he was in it though. I know he was in it.
Yeah, I have to look it.
What kind of dog do you have? It's so cute.
So right now I have 3 dogs. They're all very small, and 2 of them are Chihuahua mixes, and 1 is a Terrier mix.
Our mod always asks that same question, and I'm like, I'm just gonna ask it before she starts. You can see the chat. She says, "I hear floof." Floof is like our code for dog on the podcast. So if you hear the word floof, see the word floof in the chat, that's her saying, "I hear a dog."
Or cat.
Yes.
Or cat. We had a cat. We were doing a Ring of Honor show just dedicated to Ring of Honor. And this girl's talking about Ring of Honor. Her cat walks on the table and just headbutts the camera.
Whoa.
Yeah. Just wham.
That was one of our old episodes. I was like,
yeah, we're all super old. But it was funny. It was the funniest thing ever. I'm just like, I still had my head mic on. I'm like, hey kitty. Just out of nowhere.
Boom. All right.
It was like that thing. Well, when we get a follower on Twitch, it shows a cat and it goes like this. Like that. Nobody's following us today, so you wouldn't see that sad face. Unless you have a Twitch, you can just subscribe while you're watching us. Like, yeah. No,
do you have any place that everyone could find you, or?
Yeah, so I was gonna make a joke. I think it was Joe you mentioned if I was on Twitter. So that's the running joke. I'm not on Twitter because Twitter is an overwhelming place for me to be. I am my friend and podcasting colleague Greg DeMarco says I'm the Twitterless heroine. So I am not on Twitter, but I am on Instagram at the #Miranda, hashtag spelled out, and then on Facebook at the #Miranda as well. And then all of the websites I mentioned, thechairshot.com is where I'm on 2 shows, the Babyface Heel podcast and the #Miranda show, luchacentral.com on the Lucha Central Weekly podcast with Brendan Barr and Dusty Murphy. And then with Big Gold Belt Media, I do a weekly Impact Wrestling review with Najir Chambers. So that's also why I have terrible memory, because there's a lot of wrestling I try and keep up with that I just don't do very well. But try to keep refreshed with at least everything happening in the world of pro wrestling.
We've had quite a few people from Impact on our podcast. We actually had Masha.
Wow.
I lost my
Yeah.
freaking mind when he told me
Yeah.
that Masha got signed. I was
Yeah.
like, yes.
You know,
This was before she got signed, by the way. This was
yes.
before,
Yeah.
so.
No, I mean, it's a really exciting time for the Knockouts division. Masha getting signed, Lady Frost.
Yeah.
I think they've had to do some rebuilding. You know, when they lost Taya, you know, that was kind of, you know, a big hole to fill on their roster. You know, they had Jazz for a little bit there. ODB has come in and out. Um, Taylor Wilde coming back
Tessa Blanchard.
in, you know, Tessa, yeah, as far
Yeah.
as when her departure. So I feel like they've done a great job of using the roster that they have, but it's a little bit lean in the sense that it's not really big. And you've had Deanna Prazo really go through everybody on the roster. And so, you know, you got to replenish to build up stories and to rebuild up not just your knockouts division for the singles title, but also your tag division. So I was someone who really was excited when I heard that the Inspiration, formerly known as the Iconics, getting signed, because I think they are perfect for Impact. They are perfect
And
for
they're
Impact.
funny.
Yeah.
They're funny.
Me and the mod, we met her during Royal Rumble weekend in Phoenix. Super nice people. Just super nice.
Yes, yeah. I actually participated in an interview presser with the Inspiration on Wednesday this week for Big Gold Belt Media, and got to ask them a question specifically just regarding about their promos and their interviews and kind of what inspires how they put them together, because they are really funny and you know, really like fans just gravitate towards their interviews and their promos because of how hilarious they are. And they just said, that's us. You know, we're best friends. We hang out with each other all the time. We see each other every day. And the people that you see, you know, on screen is who we are. And they just get a lot of, you know, inspiration from their everyday interactions. And so that was really cool to have them talk about, because I think, you know, that's really one of the more viral things about their presence and why people like them, is because they're funny. They're funny. And, you know, it's a funny that people gravitate to.
They're actually Geek and I, like, I don't know about Geek, but on my dream list of female wrestlers I want to interview with this podcast is those two.
Yeah.
Those two, because they're funny. I mean, we know they have funny stories about being best friends and getting signed at the same time, and we were there. Geek and I were there when they won the tag team titles at
Oh
WrestleMania.
gosh, yeah.
God. Even though they were heels that day, I was kind of like,
well,
I warmed up to them. Really warmed up to them because I like Bailey.
Yeah, I think like it's a thing where on paper they're heels, but as fans you like them because they do their job right. You know, they do exactly what they're meant to do as heels. And they really did stress in that presser as well how they wanted to stay together, and why I think or why really, you know, Impact was one of their top choices, because, you know, Impact has a division to support that and also has titles to support that. And so, I mean, they're, you know, they could make history on Saturday and become Knockouts Tag Team Champions, to be the first ever women's tag team to win the WWE and the Impact women's tag titles, which is huge for them, you know. And if anyone has a place in history for that, it's absolutely them.
I can see them doing it. I can
totally
see them doing it.
I see them doing it, and I told Joe this. Masha's going to be the next women's champion, without a doubt. Even though
she has the energy for it. She has the energy for it, and she is perfect because Masha's style is just not like I'm gonna give you hurricanranas and give you the lucha moves. No, Masha will throw you down. She's the crap out 80s villain. She will throw you down and just destroy you.
And the Knockouts division is one where they can feature exactly that. You know, they build up women from all over the independent scene, And what they've been able to do with Deanna, and not just what they've been able to do, but the spotlight they put on Deanna, the work that she's put in to the level that she's has, you know, I mean, I know for the PWI Women's 150 that was put out yesterday, she's number 3 out of a list of 150. The only 2 women on top, you know, one was from Stardom and the other one was WWE. So, you know, really, I think that's a true testament to the position that the company has put her in. Her hard work, busting her ass all over the independent scene still, and you know, really someone who the company's put a lot of faith in to be one of their biggest wrestlers overall. But I love where you're going with this as far as, you know, who's next, because no one's champion forever, even though we joked about, you know, Roman Reigns being champion for 10 years. You know, who are they going to build up to be the next, you know, person in line for the Knockouts Championship? And I think Masha is one where she has the ability and technical skill, but also just someone that people root for. And that is the key in a great baby face, as someone, you know, when you think of the dynamic of someone going up against Deanna, someone that fans are going to want to cheer for and support and, you know, beat, you know, huge odds, but someone who could absolutely do it with their talent. So they have the potential to tell a great story with this long term. And with all the new signees and the people that they're bringing on in the Knockouts division, there's a lot of great potential, and Impact seems to be pretty well suited for that. And they just have to eventually got to figure out who's going to be the one to knock off Deanna. And I think they could build Masha to be that next big star.
Exactly. That definitely. Miranda, we want to thank you so much for coming on, by the way. Thank you so much.
Yeah, not a problem, guys. This was awesome.
We would love you to come back on the podcast.
Oh,
yes.
We actually have that date for next year still. I have it on my phone.
Yes, we still have the February date scheduled, and so I'm happy to jump on when we do that in February. It's coming sooner than we know it, but I really appreciate. Yeah, Metal Geek and Joe, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for the invite. Everyone, make sure you tuned in to this podcast because it's a lot of fun. You guys are, you know, really smart about your fandom, and I just really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
And if our fans want to watch your stuff, tell them where they can find you.
Yes. Again, find me again on Instagram at the #Miranda. I post on my stories the information for the weekly podcast, also some clips on my announcing, the #Miranda, hashtag spelled out, and also on Facebook information there. I share a lot of information on upcoming shows that I'm going to be a part of. Next show will be Impact Zone Wrestling IZW out here in Scottsdale, Arizona, for the 21st anniversary of IZW. Fully Legal is what the show is called. I have accidentally called it Fully Loaded and Barely Legal many times, because it's the brainchild of those two. But yes, please feel free to follow me on social media. And if you're out here on the West Coast at any time, feel free to come by the state of Arizona.
So thank you again. So later.
Thank you guys. Take care. Bye.
Later.
That was lots of fun.
That was a fun interview, Joe. What did you think?
Oh, she was great. I can't wait to have her back on in February. It's gonna be even more. She'll have more stories from the ring.
Yeah.
By that time, we'll have more stories to talk about. So we may be back in a little. Oh yeah, here we go. Geek and
you can always find us at http://streamlabs.com/dudes@ringside. http://streamlabs.com/dudes@ringside. Thank you so much, Joe.
You're welcome. And we may be back soon. Don't know, but see you later.